Yo, what's up, Pete? Straight Shootin LJA here, and welcome to another episode of the Straight Shootin Rant. Now, I want to talk today about conspiracy theories. Now, you know what? This was inspired by Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, where he was talking about conspiracy theories to do with the coronavirus. And he did raise some very interesting points about conspiracy theories basically being when something seems larger than life and kind of it's like, no, I need something else to explain this because the default explanation is just not good enough. And I thought to myself, yeah, he's got a point there. And he mentioned stuff like the JFK assassination, which I think was, there's conspiracy theory behind that, the moon landing and all that stuff. But he was mainly talking about the coronavirus, fair play. But for me, conspiracy theories are one of them ones where I think conspiracy theories, a lot of people believe in them, and a lot of people give, or at least lend credence to them, purely on the basis that if you look at the world that we're in now and what's going on, there has been so much, for lack of a better term, so much nefariousness on a general basis that people just want an explanation that makes sense. And also as well, I think it's and also even more so, I mean, John Oliver talked about trusted media sources, and in terms of like doing research when the conspiracy theory pops up or anything pops up, make sure you do your research. Yeah, that's all well and good, but the only bad thing is these so-called trusted media sources, and I actually did comment on this video, but it's like the so-called trusted media sources, or the ones that are supposed to be trusted. You look at the BBC in this country, in the UK, look at how the BBC acted in regards to General Election 2019, GE 2019. And the BBC were an absolute disgrace. They basically interfered with that election, and in my view, helped, among other media outlets, get Boris Johnson voted in. Because Boris Johnson to me is an absolute clown, and anybody with half a brain wanting to vote for him, boy, that's a next level of brainwashing. Same thing with Donald Trump, with the whole, let's make America great again. Let's get jobs back from China into America. And it's like, dude, you realize the only reason, like the main reason why that's not possible is economics, right? You're supposed to be a billionaire, or at least purporting to be a billionaire, and the dude doesn't understand, to me, basic economics. Look at the wall with Mexico. Oh, I want to get the Mexicans to do it and pay for it. So you don't get this, do you? But for me, you look at, again, coming back to this country, you look at the way the BBC manipulated, and even on the day where it was, even on election day, where I think it was some woman called Laura Kussenberg, I think her name is, where she was like, oh well, in the projected results, it looks like Labour ain't doing too well. It's like, shut up. It's like, seriously, shut up. Like that's blatant interference. That's manipulating people into thinking, oh well, if Labour ain't doing well, there's either no point me voting or I'll vote Conservative. After 9 years of them shafting the country at that point. So it's one of them where the BBC were guilty of that. The Brexit vote, look at how that was manipulated by the media as well, and all of these trusted news sources. So it's one of them where you look at, some people trust the Daily Express, the Daily Mail, and the worst of them all for me, not just because of that shirt, but the worst for me, the Sun. And as I said, I get what John Oliver is saying in terms of, like, if trusted news sources are reporting it, then you're better off believing that. But even then, they're not trustworthy. Because you look at how many misleading headlines there are. Again, from these same sources and others. The Times are guilty of it on a number of occasions. I mean, I personally like The Guardian because they're a lot more even-handed, but even they do have their slants from time to time. So all of these so-called trusted sources, I mean, yeah, you do have to go digging and do your own research. And for me, it's a case of when you've got that amount of distrust in so-called trusted media sources, is it any wonder why people want to believe in conspiracy theories? And also as well, so we got that with trusted media sources and people, and potentially why people wouldn't trust them. But then you've got also as well governments, especially the UK government, where it's like the amount of trust that's been eroded by this government over the past decade in some circles. Yes, I say that as a black male, totally say that, a black working class male. I have no trust in the Conservatives, and I never have. To be perfectly frank, I never have. The hung parliament thing that happened back in 2010, well, it wasn't equal. It was clear who was running things. It was blatantly the Tories running it. So they've been running the country for the past 10 years and messing it up on a number of different levels. But I've had other video blogs where I've gone into detail on that. The destruction of the NHS being one thing. The total destruction, systematic destruction of public services as well. Like the fire brigade, the police to an extent as well. And also, the cuts in youth services, 90% over the past 10 years. And young people are the future. They are this nation's future. The world's future is the youngsters growing up now. I would say 25 and under. That's our future. And I say that as a 34-year-old. I know I'm not the past, and I'm probably the present, but it's one of them, they're the future. So it's one of them where it's like, again, you look at the governments and the erosion of trust. And that, for me, is another major reason as to why people believe in conspiracy theories. Because if you can't trust the so-called mainstream media, or as John Oliver put it, trusted media sources, then who are you going to trust? You're going to start to trust whatever sounds plausible to you. And that differs between different people. What I find plausible might not be plausible to someone else. But how I see the government shafting us, and have been shafting us over the past 10 years in this country, the Conservatives, the Tories, whatever you want to call them, hashtag Tories out, hashtag Boris Johnson's a moron. But you look at that, and then you think, no wonder people are thinking, you know what, with the coronavirus, all these governments are in on the swerve. I mean, I am still of the belief that the coronavirus was basically population control for China that got out. Accidentally got out. And nobody, and everybody was like, oh crap, what do we do with this? And as businesses, and talking of this erosion of trust, a lot of businesses and entities have taken advantage of it. I'll come back to that in a second. But it's one of them where you look at this government. What is the best way, the single best way of controlling people? Fear. Not anger. Anger dissipates. But it's fear. If you, I mean, let's say you're scared of spiders, for instance. How long have you been scared of spiders? Probably your whole life after a traumatic experience, I would guess. So unless you're going to get hypnosis or go through deep therapy, you're not getting rid of that phobia anytime soon. Anger, you can be angry at someone for 8, 9, 10 years, but then eventually, maybe on your deathbed, maybe before, you might have a moment of clarity and think, you know what, let's do some reconciliation here. So as said, anger does dissipate, but fear beats anger. Always, for me. And fear is the best control method because of that. And it's one of them as well. So in terms of this erosion of trust, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, you've only got to look at certain quote-unquote coincidences. Matt Hancock, one of the biggest ones. Matt Hancock, person of significant control at a company that manufactures PPE. I don't think I need to tell you why that's a conflict of interest, but I will anyway. This guy is the health minister for this government. And he's a person of significant control at a company that manufactures personal protective equipment. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. There's also the CDC in the United States and also Public Health England as well. In recent weeks, have actually admitted, quite freely actually, they've actually admitted, oh yeah, we might have double counted some tests. It's like, wait, what? So the number being 45,000, so how many tests have you double counted? And they haven't said an exact number. So tying into that, within the past couple of weeks as well, tying into that, the government sneakily wiped out about 1.3 million COVID-19 tests. They tried to do it under the radar, but certain media sources, The Guardian especially, reported it and were like, yeah, the government are trying to sneakily take out 1.3 million coronavirus tests. So basically, they're trying to manipulate the numbers. And this is not the first time that accusation has actually been levied at this government, manipulating numbers. So, and also, I mean, you look at, and again, relating to Matt Hancock, it was one of them where, I think it was back in April, he was like, oh, we want to do 100,000 coronavirus tests. I think at one point they were at like 24,300 or something like that. And the deadline was like a day or two away. And they were like, oh no, we never said that. Even though Matt Hancock was quoted exactly saying 100,000 tests. They wanted to carry out 100,000 tests. He tried to change it and said, oh no, I didn't say that. I said we wanted to have the capacity to do 100,000 tests. And again, you wonder why some people believe in conspiracy theories. Because that's blatantly fudging numbers and trying to manipulate what's said. So it's so you've got that, and also as well, where this being all about money, and this is where I was going to go on to earlier. Now, this is where the supermarkets come in, and certain entities like Amazon, who have made an absolute killing. So it's like during this pandemic, but you look at the supermarkets in this country. Between them, there's probably only about 7 or 8 of them. So let's break that down. So let's say Sainsbury's, M&S, Tesco, Aldi, Lidl. Yeah, Sainsbury's, M&S, Tesco, Aldi, Lidl. Morrison's makes 6. Co-op would make 7. Waitrose would make 8. So let's just settle on 8. Those 8 entities between them, those supermarkets made between them £10.8 billion in the space of 2 weeks. Throw Iceland in there for 9. Throw Iceland in there for 9. £10.8 billion, and there's probably one more I'm forgetting. But let's round it out. Let's say there's one more, and we make it ASDA. There we go. 10. 10.8 billion between 10 entities. Again, and you wonder why people believe in conspiracy theories, especially when you think Sainsbury's were one of them ones where it's like, oh yeah, reduce the amount of contact you make by using our contactless app. They had released it in like October of 2019, barely any uptake. But as soon as this COVID-19 thing hit, they started promoting it and promoting it hard. Whenever you went in a store, you heard the tannoys every couple of minutes. We're working to keep you safe and all that. And it's one of them where all of the stores were doing it. So it's one of them where you think to yourself, they made £10.8 billion between basically 10 entities. So that's £1 billion each. And bear in mind, supermarkets over the last couple of years, especially like the big four, Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's, and Morrison's have been struggling. They signed their own long-term death warrant about, a year and a half ago when they signed up to do deliveries with Amazon. Because Amazon are looking at a way, and they bought Whole Foods, so Amazon are looking at a way to penetrate that UK market. So that's not by accident. And Morrison's, as I said, have been struggling. So you look at that, and all of these entities, 10 entities, making £1 billion each, and you wonder why people believe in conspiracy theories. So it's one of them where it's like, the whole thing is just, it's not that much of a jump to think that, yeah, maybe there was a conspiracy, maybe this was about money, and maybe it still is. Maybe it is about forcing vaccines on people. Again, coming back to Matt Hancock, in, I think it was May of 2019, he was talking about mandatory vaccines. And then in, I think it was April of 2020, this year, where it was mentioned that potentially, I think it might have been as late as May, maybe even June of this year, where it was mentioned that some kids may not be there. They were touting the idea of kids not being allowed to go back to school unless they'd had the mandatory coronavirus vaccine. So again, you wonder why people believe in conspiracy theories. And also as well, it's one of them where you look at it as well, where, as I said, coming back to the supermarkets making that much money, £10.8 billion. And you think to yourself, where within a couple of days of this pandemic really percolating and starting off in earnest, the supermarkets were all like, yeah, use our contactless apps, use our app, reduce your contact, don't pay by cash if you don't have to, use our app. They did that within a couple of days of this all percolating in March, but it took them nearly 3 weeks, especially Sainsbury's, took them nearly 3 weeks to start imposing limits on how much people can buy from a supermarket, reducing it down to 2 items and this, 2 items of that, 3 items of that. It took them nearly 3 weeks to do that. If they really cared, they would have done that straight away. They would have seen it, they would have been like, read the tea leaves and been like, no, we need to do this straight away. By the time they did it, all the shelves were already cleared. Didn't matter. So those who were vulnerable, those of us with children and families, we couldn't even get essentials. Certain people had to come out at 5 in the morning when deliveries were coming in and hope that they catch it in time just to get some essentials, which is an absolute disgrace. So, as I said, it is one of them ones where these supermarkets saying, oh yeah, we care. No, you don't. You made your money. That's why it took them 3 weeks to start imposing those changes, and by then, damage had already been done. The shelves were bare for what? The shelves were bare for nearly a month. So it's one of them where, again, that's why do you think people believe in conspiracy theories? Because certain stuff in life, it's one of them where some stuff you can say, all right, that was by accident. But some of this stuff is a little too coincidental to be an accident. It seems a little too coincidental. And again, that's why people believe in conspiracy theories, in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, when you've had that erosion of trust from those who hold authority or those who hold dominion over people, it's a case of how many times can you get shafted by the same person and still trust them? Conservative government have been shafting us for, well, basically 10 years now. Some of us didn't trust them initially because of obviously reading up on the stories from the original Thatcher era. And this seems like just the second coming of it. So, and also as well, in terms of supermarkets and a lot of other companies as well, tying into why do people believe conspiracy theories? Because some of them actually make sense. You look at Marks and Spencer. They've just announced today, as I'm recording this, that they're going to lay off another 7,000 jobs. In addition to the 900, I think it was, they said a couple of weeks ago. In addition, but the reason why that's not shocking to me is because in 2018 they said by this year 2020 they needed to close down up to 200 stores. So this coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic gives them a legal escape clause where it's like, well, we needed to let these people go, we couldn't, now we can, and we can blame it on the pandemic and get away with it because legally, boom, we're good. Lot to take in, I know. Bit of a long rant, I know. But I just wanted to address that because conspiracy theories are an interesting thing to me. But I don't go too deep on them because if you go down that rabbit hole, it's hard to get up. But you know what? I'd like to know your views. Comment section is below. Let me know your views. Remember, this is on iTunes. So, not iTunes. This is on IGTV. Also on YouTube and also on Mixcloud as well. IGTV, Mixcloud and YouTube is where you can find the Straight Shootin Rants. I have been Straight Shootin LJA, Facebook.com/Straight Shootin, no G, LJA on Facebook, so find me there, at SSLJA on Twitter. Tweet me, follow me. Hey, it's one of them ones. Let me know your views. As I said, comment section is below. I have been Straight Shootin LJA, and until next time on the Straight Shootin View, thank you for your time, people. Thank you for your time. And in regards to conspiracy theories, do your research. And the mainstream media are to be skepticized. Skepticized? Is that even a word? I don't know. But you got to be skeptical of the mainstream media. Always be skeptical of those who have an agenda. I've been Straight Shootin LJ, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for your time, peeps.